Hello, everyone. My name is Catlin Anastasia Williams. I am a male to female transgender woman. I began my journey 2 years ago on December 7th, starting my journey into womanhood. The last few years have been a blessing, and I have gone through a lot of changes in this time, and the actual events that are taking place up until now have literally given me a new purpose on life. I am 52 years old. December 7th of 2018, I started my journey. I came out back in October 31st of 1998, and I have been on this road for quite a while. It has been a long road to get to this point, to actually be able to share this with so many people. And I've been blessed to have an uneventful transition for the most part. I've known since the age of 6 that I was different. I know that I felt different. My tendencies as a male were more feminine. My friends were all females. I had no male friends. And it was tough because how is it possible that I don't feel right? It's not been an easy journey to get to this point. I was physically and mentally abused. I've been assaulted twice. I was told by my grandmother that my father said I was a mistake and wanted nothing to do with me. And to this day has never really had anything to do with me. See my life and what it led up to that point. And I'm going to fast forward because it's something I don't want to share. I'll fast forward to high school, 1985. I enrolled at Newt High School in Milton, New Hampshire. It was a very small school, 300 students. In my freshman class, there was about 120 students. There were actually 4 classrooms for the freshman students. And it's so hard to actually think about it because my high school journey was not good. I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't make a lot of friends. I was kind of like an outcast. All my friends were girls. I had like one male friend and a couple acquaintances for males. I hung out with other women. They were, they were my role model. I saw myself as them, and I felt so out of place to be in a place where something is not right. And you know from the bottom of your gut that you weren't made right. So we'll fast forward to my senior year. And the senior year was the hardest part for me because it was coming upon graduation. It was very tumultuous for me because I wanted so badly to go to my prom in a ball gown. But where I'm from in northern New Hampshire, that would not have been possible. It was very taboo. It was something that just was not going to happen. And I would have been ridiculed, belittled, probably beaten up, made fun of, left for dead somewhere on the side of the road. It's a very small town, probably 40,000 people at the time, and everybody knows everybody. And a lot of people knew I was different. They sensed it, they could see it. They saw how I carried myself. I mean, my 8th grade graduation and my 12th grade graduations for my senior gift and my 8th grade gift, I got a hairbrush because my hair was I was more anal with my hair than most females were at the time. And that was my thing. And it was tough to see that because I was admiring women. I knew I was meant to be a woman. So my graduation came and went. It was very tough for me because 2 months later I went into the military. I enlisted into the National Guard 6 months before I graduated, 8 months before I graduated, and my unit was in Concord, New Hampshire, which was a 45-minute ride from where I lived in Wakefield, New Hampshire. So a month after I graduated, I was sent off to boot camp in South Carolina. I graduated 2 months later, and I still felt very, very different. I was so uncomfortable to be in a platoon where I was surrounded with men. And at that time, men and women were not co-joined as, having a co-joined shower or anything like that. And I felt so uncomfortable. I felt so shy to actually undress in front of people. I was always the last one to go in and the last one to come out so that I didn't have to see anything, and it was scary. So I graduated and I moved on to my AIT unit where I was a 44 Bravo welder, mobile infantry. And I was serving during Hurricane Hugo, which was moving up and down the eastern seaboard. And I graduated from South Carolina, Fort Jackson, and went up to Aberdeen Proving Grounds, Maryland. And that's where I had my journey start. That didn't last long. I was allergic. I had a high tolerance to the actual arc welding, MIG, TIG, etc. Extreme heat. It wasn't good for me. And I have had blackouts since I was 6 to 8 years old. And I get no warning when they hit. I've done so much damage to my head. My short-term memory just went kaput. My long-term memory just went further away from kaput. And I was just charged with an honorable discharge. And they wouldn't give me a different MOS. They knew I was different to begin with. I met my ex-wife, and she was my best friend, Christine. And we had our first son, Justin, together. And I used to borrow all of her clothing. I knew I was different. I knew I was different. I knew I was safe. I was in a safe environment to come out. She was very accepting of me. We were married 6 months afterwards on my brother JR's birthday on January 6th of 1991. 4 months later, my oldest son was born, Justin. And 4 years later, my youngest son, Brandon, was born on November 8th, 1995. I had lost my grandmother in 1985. I lost my stepfather in 1995. I'd lost a grandfather and a grandmother somewhere between those two dates. And I had lost a grandfather and adopted grandfather back in like 78. I'd lost everybody that was so close to me. It was so hard to adjust to anything that life had to offer. I put up barriers that was so high. I didn't grieve for any point in my life. I wasn't able to actually put closure behind me for any of that. Anything that was important to me was just going, I was losing everything. I lost my two boys. One of them was put up for adoption. I fought for 2 years to get custody back of them. And that's when I started my transition. And I don't regret giving up my two boys. They were the best gift I ever got in my life. They were my world. My oldest was my ex-wife's. That was her baby. My baby was the youngest, whom I had raised from the day he was born by myself. I had met my ex-fiance, Kelly, and we dated for about 2.5 years. And in 2005, my ex-wife and I finally divorced. There was no love left. There was love for both of us, for the kids. I was not going to put my kids through with what I went through, being an abused and battered child, being sexually assaulted by a boss when I turned 18 was a tipping point for me. It wasn't a good point in any way, shape, or form. I never ever got the chance to grieve for any of that, to actually put closure behind it, to actually understand why. Why was this happening to me? So I came out in 1998 and I started my journey. I was working at a Shell gas station in Dover, New Hampshire. I was male at that time. I was very well known, very well respected, had a lot of friends. I was taking care of an older gentleman who was my best friend. He died of many different cancers. And it was on October 31st of 1998 that I came out. I dressed up as a classy hooker, working for the Shell gas station, which was a showcase store. And I knew the whole night long it felt right. I didn't feel like I needed to actually hide anymore, to hide who I was. I didn't care what people thought. I figured, you know what? I had 8 hours to think about it, 8 hours to contemplate what the outcome would be, 8 hours to decide this is my life. This is where my journey starts. I came out in the town of Rochester, New Hampshire. Not a town you want to come out if you're transgendered, gay, lesbian, bisexual, androgynous, pansexual, no matter what. So I'd made my mind up when I got on the bus that morning at 6 o'clock. It was raining, so I didn't bring my bike to work. And I made up my mind when I got home. I was like, today's the day I start my journey. I went home. I walked through the door. I looked at my best friend, whom I was taking care of, Paul. And I says, today's the day. I says, I'm starting my journey to become a woman. And in New Hampshire, that wasn't going to happen. It was not going to happen. So I took all of my male clothing, all of my male attributes, anything that had to do with the manliness. I took everything except for a pair of pants, a t-shirt, and a pair of sneakers. And everything was tossed. And I went shopping. I had a hell of a shopping spree. It lasted me for about 5 hours. I spent almost $700 on female clothing. And I've always been the one to actually, I wear dresses and skirts. I don't wear dress slacks. I don't get into pantsuits as far as for a woman will wear. It's not my thing. I don't like them. I feel so restricted in them. I just don't like them. I do dresses and skirts, leggings. I don't wear jeans. Jeans are not my thing. So that was the day my journey began. It took me from 1998 till 2018 to actually start my hormones. I had moved to Massachusetts in 2013. I had done a lot of reading up before I moved there, reading up and looking at where a safe place would be to go for the transgendered community, where I'd be able to get help and to actually be able to start hormones at some point in time. Massachusetts has been doing the male to female and female to male surgeries for quite a while. Genital affirmation reassignment surgery. It's been almost 20 years since they started doing it. At the time, I wasn't able to move to Massachusetts sooner. I had other obligations. Like I said, I was still fighting for custody of my two boys. And that was a losing battle. It did detrimental damage to me. And I was never able to recover from that. It broke my heart. They were placed into foster homes and then into foster families, and it tore me apart. It literally did damage. I was fighting for myself, for my ex-wife, for my family, for my ex-wife's family, trying to get custody back of the two boys. I was doing everything I was told to do, and then DCF had me go see a shrink, and the shrink started doing medical evaluations on both parents. And this shrink, he didn't like me from the word go when I walked into his office. He took one look at me and he was like, yeah, okay, well, this isn't going anywhere. And if you would have seen the letter of recommendation that he wrote up to DCYF, your head would have dropped. The last day of court, when it was fighting for custody of the two boys and my ex-wife and her family and my family, there was the letter of recommendation that was submitted. And it was so bad. It was so bad where he even formulated any of this letter of recommendation for terminating my parental rights. I'll never know. I, to this day, have never received a letter of recommendation for that, stipulating my rights were terminated. They had tricked my ex-wife into signing a document. This I found out about 9 years ago. That terminated her rights without her consent, which in the state of New Hampshire, it automatically terminates the father's rights. About it till 8 years ago. It crushed me when I found out that what the state of New Hampshire did. And there's nothing I can do. That's all in the past. It's fine. I did what I thought was best for my two boys when I gave them up, to give them a life that would be better for them. A life that I couldn't give them. I just lost my car, my home, my job. I lived 10 miles from my job. There was no way to get back and forth to work. I was losing my home. They impounded my car. Everything fell apart. I got sick. And anyways, it was just downhill from there. And I never got to grieve with any of that. It was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Just push it back in the back of my mind. And that's what I did with everything else. adding on top of the fire, and that wall just going so high that I didn't care at that point. It was a very, very bad time. I was like, okay. So, anyways, after I moved to Massachusetts, and I had read up in New Hampshire where I could go, what state could I go to that would be safe for me to be for the transgender community to transition from male to female. I chose Massachusetts. I moved in with my oldest son. He found me. He came knocking on my ex-wife's door one day in 2012 and just totally surprised the shit out of both of us. And a little piece of my world came up. It wasn't much, but it was something. I was homeless at the time. I was living in a tent here, there, everywhere. I was living in the woods. I was couch surfing. I wasn't eating. I smoked like a chimney. I was my own worst enemy at that time. And it killed me. I was like, I can't do this anymore. My son offered me a place to stay in Lawrence, in Lowell, Massachusetts. And I moved in with him. And I finally got a doctor. I was never able to go to a doctor. I didn't have health insurance. They don't give you health insurance, so it was nice to actually have it for a change. I got discriminated against twice by two different doctors, very badly, very, very badly. One of the doctors had me twirl around on my dress. It was so humiliating. Never had me take my clothes off to look at me and make sure I was okay. I was like, you know what? Time to leave this private practice and go to Low Community Health Center. I went there. It did a number on me. And, I'm still at this point. I've got it was very, very bad. Very, very bad for me at that point in time. So I got this one doctor. He was worse than the first doctor I had at the private practice. He refused to treat me in any way, shape, or form, refused to say there was anything wrong with me, would not explain why I was having blackouts, was saying it was all in my head. I was literally at my wit's end. I was going crazy. Now, mind you, I've attempted suicide 4 times from losing so many people in my life. And it hurts. It hurts when you know that nobody loves you. My family disowned me. They have nothing to do with me. And that's a part of life. I understand that. And I had told them all, I says, it doesn't matter what you all think. I love you all. You can either accept me or not accept me. It doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt my feelings if you don't accept me. This is my journey. This is what I'm doing. This is what I feel. I have been a woman since the day I was born. There's something not right. And I started my journey. That journey came 10 years to the date of moving out of New Hampshire. I started my hormones. I went to Lawrence Community Health Center and I met Dr. Parks, sweet, sweet, sweet med student, PCP. She was in training, a resident doctor, and she took on me. And I immediately fell in love with her. She made me feel so safe. For the first time in my life, I felt safe. I had a reason to want to complete my journey. And she told me, she says, I have one condition. It's going to take some time for the insurance to authorize the hormones and the letter of intent to actually start the transition, which I understood. And she told me, she says, there's one condition though. You are not allowed to smoke while you're on the hormones. It can be detrimental to your health, and where you have extreme COPD. I was smoking 2 to 3 packs, sometimes 4 packs a day. I was my own worst enemy. I was not coming along in any way, shape, and form. And I smoked for about 4 months after I met her. No, 2 months, 2 months. I met her in October of 2018. And it was exactly 2 months. And I started my hormones on December 7th, my testosterone blocker. And I was put on the highest dose of that, which was a good thing. January 7th, 2019, I started the estradiol. And everything was going smoothly. 2 months in, I was doing so wonderful. February came, and I asked my doctor, I says, can you please put me on the highest dose? I want to get this down behind me. She knew right off the bat when she met me. She's like, I know you're not going to change your mind. And she was right. She was very right. I loved her so much. She was such a great doctor. So I was put on the highest dose on February 7th of 2019. Everything was going smoothly. And then 4 months down the road, things weren't going well at all. I was going through extremely high hormonal changes. I developed mood swings. I got very was not right. And I didn't know what to do, you know? It was scary. So I contacted my doctor on the third month, because we went every 3 months. That's when she scheduled my visits. And I told her, I said, something's not right. Everything was going fine. I could feel the transition. I could feel the body changing. I could feel the body tightening. I could feel the breast getting tense. I could feel the scrotum shrinking. And I was like, I felt so good about myself. And then it stopped. Kaput. And she says, well, I can try another estrogen model. And I went home. She says, let me see what I can do for you. And I says, okay. I went home. And I looked at my pill bottles. And I got looking at my estrogen. And I was looking at the dosage on it. And I always save my pill bottles. I save it for this reason, plain and simple. That 4 months later, I looked at the pill bottle. And it was the lowest dose. The pharmacy had messed up my dose 3 months prior to that. It made me become sterile. It took 7 months to correct that problem before the hormones started working again. When I was put back on the fullest dose, 3 months after it happened. And I developed very quickly, very quickly. I went from basically no bra size up to an actual bra size. I had developed into a very large A cup. And I was very happy. I was very excited. I was so happy to have that journey actually taking place. And it was the best thing. I felt happy. I felt wanted. I felt needed. And I've never had a problem getting a job as a female, living as a female. Never had a problem. Been accepted everywhere. Everybody has been very loving towards me in that role. So anyways, in 2020, my doctor gave me my first letter of recommendation. No, it was 2019. In February of 2019, I got the first letter of recommendation for genital reassignment surgery. genital affirmation reassignment surgery. I was so excited. I got it so quickly in such short amount of time. It made my spirit go way up, and I was happy. I was so happy. And I was scheduled to go in to have the surgery in April to May of that year, 2019. Then the pandemic hit. Well, we all know what happened with the pandemic. It shut everything down. Everything shut down. Luckily, I was able to continue working where I lived. I had maintained work for 8 straight years, going on 9 now. Gainfully employed was something new to me. I'd never had that before in my life. And it felt good. I felt good about myself. So anyways, November of 2019, I asked my doctor for the letter of recommendation for the breast augmentation. And that was of 2020. It was so awesome. She sent it off. It was sent to me to go to Boston Medical Center for the actual referral. I met with the doctor. I was so excited. It was awesome. My therapist gave me my letter of recommendation for the breast augmentation and implant, so that my psychiatrist concurred, and there I had a second letter of recommendation. 2 were needed for both. A month later, I had a second letter of recommendation for the genital affirmation reassignment surgery. 3 letters of recommendation in 12 months, record time. And my therapist, I couldn't ask for a better therapist. My psychiatrist, awesome. My doctor left the practice in July of 2021. It killed me to actually start over with a new provider because, I had developed a rapport with her in little over a year. She was like my total uplift to bring me closer to my dream of being the woman I've always known I've been. Okay, so I met Kathleen, who became my new doctor. And I had one visit with her, and I have another visit coming up next month, I believe in November of 2021. And a month after I met her, my appointment for breast augmentation and implant was scheduled at Boston Medical Center in Boston. It was pushed back due to a problem that I had belted out that I possibly had a heart attack, so it was pushed back. Okay, no problem. It's good. A month later, I got it rescheduled after I saw a heart doctor, and she cleared me to go ahead with the surgery. My surgery was scheduled for September 14th, 2021. I have since achieved that draw. And I have to wear a special bra. September 14th, I went in. I was scheduled for 2:30. I sat in the waiting room for almost 3 hours. My friend Desi and I, who took me down there, sat there for almost 3 hours. We were early, but we wanted to be early in case they brought me in early. So I went into the pre-op room at 2:15. I met with my doctor, Dr. Salam. Awesome doctor. I highly recommend him to anybody who is going through breast augmentation. He is totally awesome. He did a perfect job on my actual breasts. I'm very, very impressed. The surgery itself lasted an hour and 15 minutes. And as they were wheeling me into the OR, the operating room, at right around 2:30, I passed out. I had been up since like 4 o'clock the morning before, So almost 24 hours I was up. I was so excited. Yes, my first surgery is underway. It's just about there. And I fell asleep. I passed out. I didn't even know because the only shot I felt them give me, I didn't even feel them put the intravenous needle in my arm. All I felt was a needle in my shoulder, and it was extra strength Tylenol or Tramadol or something. I just went night nights. Never felt them put the intravenous line in. So I was out for till 5 o'clock in the afternoon when I finally woke up. The surgery itself was an hour and 15 minutes. I went in at 2:30. I was awake at 3:45. That's when I was out of the operating room and I was wheeled into the post-op room. And an hour and 15 minutes later, I woke up at 5 o'clock. And I'm like, the first thing I did was I gazed down. I'm laying on my back, and all I could see is these great big boobs. And it was the best feeling in the world. It was the best thing I could have asked for, to see them physically there. This has been such a dream for me, and they came out so perfect. Dr. Salam, I recommend them 100,000%. And on that note, Dr. Salam will actually be doing my neovaginoplasty evaluation on November 18th of this year, 2021. And that will clear me to move forward with that surgery, pending my birth certificate, corrected birth certificate coming in the mail. I was notified in 2018 that my birth certificate had the wrong birth date on it, and it happened the day I was born. The receptionist who was typing up my birth certificate put a 2 instead of a 1. I was born at 12:57 in the morning, but it was on May 21st of 1969, not May 22nd. So I immediately called, and I was sending letters out left and right, and they called me and they told me, okay, well, this isn't going to happen. We cannot send you a corrected copy, and I need the document. The document is needed because in order for me to submit my name change, my biological name is Bobby. That name I don't mind. I hate the name Robert. I've always hated that name. It despises me. I don't like that name. It's a horrible name. So anyways, I had several name changes prior to that as far as what people would call me and what they would let them call me. I started off with Caitlin. I corrected it because I didn't want to be referred to Caitlyn Jenner. I didn't want to be referred to somebody who can't decide on their own gender identity. I've known what I've always been. I've accepted what I know I've always been. And I have no regrets for choosing to journey to become a woman whatsoever. I don't think about ever being a man again. It's not in my nature. I'm completely sterile now, thanks to CVS messing up my medication. I may have a little arousal now. I don't know. I do have leakage. So I may see about having some sperm saved. I haven't decided yet, and maybe seeing about getting it. I don't know. I haven't decided on that. That's another chapter I'll decide on later. So anyways, the neovaginoplasty evaluation is scheduled for November 18th, 2021, which will move forward to give me the actual surgical date for the genital affirmation reassignment surgery at Boston Medical Center with Dr. Salam and Dr. Oates. And with the first surgery, the breast augmentation and implant, I've had no pain. I've been pain-free completely. I've had very little discomfort. It's been absolutely wonderful to know that that first part of the journey is over. It's behind me. And knowing I have girls now, I mean, it's a nice feeling to know these are here. I am officially a 36E. They came out so perfect. If you could see them, you would die. They came out so perfect. My best friend Desi saw them, and her mother saw them, and those are the only people that have seen them. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy to be the woman that I am becoming. I'm looking at doing drag work. So if anybody out there knows of where I can go to be taught how to do drag work, I would much appreciate it. You can reach out to me at bobbykaitlin1969@gmail.com. I have links to this video that are going to be posted at 4 different websites. And I would be greatly appreciative of this because I need a way to supplement my income so that I can actually move on to the next phase of my journey. The next phase of my journey is to actually be able to get my bottom teeth. I haven't had them in 8 years. I had a partial made for the bottom, and the bottom partial has never fit right. I wore it 3 times for like a few hours, and it hurts so badly because I have a chip bone right here. So if anybody knows where of someone that can help me to go through the process of actually doing drag, I would be greatly appreciative. I know nothing of makeup. I don't worry about makeup. It's not my thing. I'm a girly girl, but I'm not that kind of girly girl. And I'm just wanting to do this in the meantime till I can find something else and move forward. And maybe, who knows? The world's an open door. I mean, I'm 52 years old. I look like I'm 35 to 40. It's a beautiful feeling. And that would help me to be able to get my bottom teeth so I can feel more self-confident of being the woman that I am. Because when you don't smile, it lowers your self-esteem so badly. And the hormonal changes, the last year has been very bad for me. I was assaulted twice. Once by a man, once by a woman. And it left a number on me. It really left a dent on me. I didn't come out of my room for almost 6 months after it happened. This was a year ago. And I went about doing my job, and that was it. I went over to the store, and that was it. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't, want anything to do with anybody. I was so distraught. And it was a hate crime. There was an actual court case. The gentleman overdosed and died, so the court case was dropped. Nothing ever became of it because, it's behind, and I don't look at karma in that way. Most people probably would have, but I'm not like that. I don't judge people. I don't worry about what people do. I don't care about what people do. All my friends are gays and lesbians. I've had very bad luck with transgendered people. I know of 2 of them. And it's like, I have not had any luck when it comes to relating to people and knowing of people who can be my support system in that role as far as a transgendered person. I am a trans woman, and it's like, I've had very bad luck with 2 women who have been trans. Very, very bad. So anyways, I just wanted to come on. I wanted to give an update. It's been almost a year since I gave an update, and I thank you all. I look forward to doing my next adventure, and hopefully that will be in the next 4 months or less. I shall hopefully go in and have the genital affirmation reassignment surgery done. So again, God bless. Catlin out.